Hello, happy Monday morning, everybody. I'm Jade Trueblood. You are joined with the one and only Ted Capshaw. Good morning, Ted.
Good morning. Good morning.
Okay, so this is our Monday morning jumpstart. Last week we talked about, I think you framed it, Ted, as the intersection of business and personal. And now you have a concept that we want to bring up called business is a journey of self, right? So what do
Yeah.
you mean by that?
Yeah. I talk about this in two ways. I do a lot of leadership stuff. I touched on that
Mhm.
last week, and I say it doesn't matter what I talk to leaders, and I say leadership is a journey of self as much as it is anything else. I'll say the same thing to our members here. You're starting a business, entrepreneurship
Mhm.
is a journey of self as much as it is anything else. And the reason I say that is that sometimes we get so mired in the skill building, the learning business acumen, and there is always a lot to learn. So I'm gonna start with where I left off a little bit, where I said, when we peel this back a little bit for this one, I don't want you to swing the pendulum, and I don't want you to hear me say that I'm disregarding the need to have business acumen, to have a basic skill set which supports your business
Mhm.
knowledge, constant development in all of that stuff,
Mhm.
as they would say, the hard skills,
Mhm.
which brings me to the we say hard skills, soft skills. So development of self would be under soft skills. So it gets a cheapened name, right?
Mhm.
Right. But here's why I tend to spend my time here, even at the risk of frustrating many entrepreneurs and business owners. Meaning, well, Ted, you're staying in the bucket. When are we going to get to how to build a business? When are we going to get to da, 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 da? And they constantly build. Well, here's what I'd say. That's the easy stuff, right? To go and
Yes, to
learn the
learn,
skill
to
of
acquire. Yes,
writing, to
yes,
go get a course on how to read, a balance sheet in
yes,
business. My
yes.
accountant taught me how to do that. I understand it now. I understand how to look at a P&L, a profit and loss statement. I understand how to price things. I understand those things because I've acquired those skills. You acquire these skills in business. Writing, you can learn how to write for a website. You can learn how to write a white paper. You can
Yes,
learn these things.
yes.
And then we go, well, I'm so good at this. Well, why am I bumping up against getting clients?
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden you get with a guy like me. And what we discover is it has nothing to do with your
Mhm.
business skill set. It has nothing to do with your ability to write or not write. It
Mhm.
has to do with self.
Mhm.
You could even frame it up. And oftentimes we disguise it as, I don't feel like my writing is good enough.
Mm.
And then I peel it back in a very practical way. And I give you evidence right in front of you that your writing is actually pretty dang good. Well, you're not talking about your writing.
Mhm.
You're talking about you. You're talking
Yes.
about the insecurities that have built up this thing over the course of time. And now we have to start doing this self work. And so when I say this, that, long winded way of me telling you, Jade, when I say it's a journey of self, I want to even out the playing field for people because we put so much emphasis on the building of skill and business acumen and trying to build it. And that's necessary. Okay.
Yes. 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 Yes.
But what oftentimes people don't recognize is that that's not really the core issue. Your issue in creating followership as a business owner or getting clients as a business owner or as a writer is everything to do with self, your past experiences, etc., your self-confidence, your ability to articulate who you are, your willingness to get in a conversation with a potential client and be your authentic self, to use
Mhm.
that overplayed word authenticity.
Mhm.
That's some of the hardest work to do in life,
Mhm.
to present yourself authentically instead of just putting on a business hat and going, well, here's everything I learned about how to present myself as a business person. And I know there's still people teaching that, and there's a need for some of that. But if you don't balance it out with this self work, anyway, I'm getting all fired up because you could tell that this means more to me than most anything in business. And I will tell
Yeah.
you, just to round this off, to tell you the origins of this. I've talked about this before. It's on my necklace. It says "Stay true" on this thing. And this is everything to do with 28 years ago, sitting with my dad as he was dying of cancer, and him pointing this out to me in his own words of, you're a smart guy, man. You graduated college in honors. You already got a director level job at the age of 23. you still have not presented the world your most powerful self, was basically his message. And until you settle into your skin, you're an emotional person, you're a passionate person, you're all these things. And until you really identify with that stuff and lead with that stuff, you will not be as successful as you think you can be.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I've just built on that over the course of 28 years and now work with people on this. And it's been some of the most powerful work for myself, which has led to business success.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I'm going to shut up because obviously I'm all
No,
fired up on this one,
but you know, my favorite part of that whole thing is the word journey, because it's not
it
just at
is
the
a journey.
start. I bet anything,
Mm-hmm.
as you're building, like your business is growing and you're building and you're going through this, that you're discovering new parts of yourself, good, bad, and ugly, things to overcome, things that you're proud of as your business is moving, right? Because it's all, like we were talking about last week, it's all one, right? So like as you're uncovering here, or as you're finding roadblocks here in self, it's affecting, directly correlating with business, and we're so
That's it.
focused sometimes in the one part and not the other part. I think it's also a Western thing,
Yeah.
that we are like, like the MBA, it's like,
Yeah.
what is that going to get you more than the regular BSc? Like,
It's
what does it
true.
actually get you? So no, I love, that's why I love that journey work. And Ted, I can tell you, anyone that doesn't know, probably not many people know the story. Ted actually interviewed me for AWAI. And Ted, I always used to say, like, my resume is not the best, but just get me in the room. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
let me, because I know that I have like personable like skills that you cannot teach somebody. Like you can't teach somebody to be engaged and to have a conversation and to be interested in people. A lot of people have other great skills, but not, that's something that not many people have, right? And I just knew if I was in a place where people were looking for that and valued that, I can't mark that on paper, but I can
That's
present
right.
that as myself, right? And like,
Yeah.
and then again, like you said, it's a journey. So like you get in the door and you get that thing, and then you make a new discovery about yourself as you're uncovering like business,
Constantly.
so constantly and I think that you're remiss to think that like getting the white paper course check means you're done, like that, what I mean? Like the work is done there. It's almost like that the hard skills are like the start of the work, right? And then
Yeah.
all the other stuff comes with it, and like you
Yeah.
really learn and discover as you go and you get out. And I think it's also why, look, you have what, in one class in college, what is it, like 30 to 100 people depending on the class, right? Not one of their journeys looks the same. And
Yeah.
why is that? Because nobody is the same, right? No, like no
Yeah.
self in that room is the same. The roadblocks that they're going to encounter, or the roadblocks that they've already overcome, or the self awareness that they have is what is so different, right? And so I know there's lots of factors that go into that, but I hope it's also freeing, because the journey of self also means that Ted's journey is not my journey, nor should it be my journey, nor is it going to look like the same
Yeah.
thing. I hope that
Yeah.
that is freeing to some people too. Because
It
yes,
could
it's
be
going to
freeing
require
and
work.
scary.
Yes, no, it's like you can learn from people and you can
Well, because it's
replicate.
not, I can't look at the book and read a book that somebody else wrote and say I got to follow their script. Like
Yes,
so this is
yes,
it. I'm glad you zeroed in on the word journey. Look, it is a journey. And, to wrap this in a bow, here's what I'll give you. Number one, it's a journey on the hard skills as well.
yes,
Like, look at it, today's world. If you're not staying up on current stuff, everybody's talking about AI, everybody's talking about,
yes,
you have to stay current. You have to constantly be upskilling, is the language that's being
yes,
used out there. I don't care if you're a CEO of a company, you
yes,
have to be upskilling. You have to be up to date with technology. So that's a journey, an ongoing
yes,
journey.
yes,
Here's what I mean by, I want to give everybody an example so they understand what I mean. Because I work the development of self, to
yes,
give the example. And there's many examples that we could use because the self-development is a big one. But when I say the work, I often will ask people a question and they won't understand till down the road, but I'll just simply ask the questions. What are your insecurities? Your biggest insecurities? And that's the beginning of our journey of our work together on self-development. And the reason, the end result, so I like talking about outcomes. So I start with, what are your insecurities? Number one, most people can't even identify it.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be surprised that they don't go, I'm worried about this, or a deeper insecurity of mine is acceptance,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm not good enough. And then we go, well, where'd it come from? So now it sounds like everybody go, oh shit, Ted's taking us to therapy. Excuse my language, but everybody's taking me to therapy or whatever, right? No, we're just trying to understand what happened here.
Mm-hmm.
So now you started a writing business and you don't want to go talk to somebody. It's based in this insecurity, right? And the outcome would be that we become aware of how this insecurity has manifested
Block.
itself into the
Yes.
main blockage in our business
Yes.
that has
Yes.
nothing to do with our lack of writing ability or skill set or da
Yes.
da da da. That's why, that's
Yes.
an example of why I say business or entrepreneurship or this writing journey is a journey of self as much as it is
Yes.
anything else. Notice
Yes.
I didn't say it's more important. I said it's
No.
as much about self as
Yes.
it is anything else. And so, but we have to bring that into fold. And guess what? We have to stay there
Mm-hmm.
because of your point about journey, because it's in a constantly evolve. Most people don't want to stay there because they want to get to quote unquote the profitable stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
It's
they're
growth.
not seeing what's right, and they're not seeing what's right in front of them.
When you were talking, all the word that I just kept thinking about is growth, right? Growth in one is growth in the other, which feeds growth in the other, which feeds growth in the other. If you're willing to be open to the growth, right? That's what will come from this. And that's, I guess, why you coach people on this, because the goal of the outcome that you want is to get past the certain insecurities, is to get past the certain roadblocks, to provide growth in the personal, which then provides growth in the business, which it just constantly feeds each other.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, I think it's so important. And I don't think, like you said, I don't think one is more important than the other. I think one is just talked about more than the other,
The
you know?
one is talked about more and focused on more. And I would venture to say, at least my experience, right? This is my conclusion from experience, is because that's the easier stuff.
It's more comfortable, right?
Well, I
Yeah.
can read it. If
Yeah.
I do X in business and execute follow the
Yeah.
plan, it's not all the emotional hard work and heavy lifting that we have to do,
Yes.
but,
And
all of this ties into stuff that we talked about before. You use the word growth. I'm just playing off the words that you're picking
yeah.
up on. Journey, growth. Your business will grow when you start to
Yes.
present your value. You don't present your value if you're living and presenting yourself from this deeply insecure place, just to use
Yes.
the example that we're on today. And so you don't present and you don't charge what you're supposed to charge. You don't do all those things because you're rooted in this deep insecurity,
Insecurity.
and you haven't done the work around it.
So do you think that that is a place for people to start with this tip? Would you start with them with the search of insecurities, of like looking into that?
Yeah, let's get into this a little bit next week, because I think we could take a which will include the insecurity piece.
Okay.
But let's get into this next week. For right now, what I want, you just said it brilliantly, which is the outcome for me today is just to highlight, you start to look at what's right in front of you. Like, you're probably doing the work. You're probably taking the AWAI course. You're probably practicing your writing every day. You're learning some business skills. You might learn about marketing. I hope you're learning a little bit about finance and business and, all that kind of stuff, right? Um, but the stuff that's right in front of you, what you just said, the way you said it, it's talked about more. If it's talked about more, there's probably, I could also right next to that say, that's where the focus is going. That's where people's putting their energy. That's what they're banking on to build their business, etc. And they're missing the focus on this self piece,
Yes.
right? And so next week, I think we could start to frame up for them, start of a putting foot on path to the self-development work.
Okay. Beautiful. Well, this is a big topic, so sometimes I think it takes a few days to digest, maybe a few times to watch and think about and listen, and then it almost like opens the awareness to where you see your own journey of self and business, in a different light. So I hope that that happens for you and that opens the airways. And then next week we'll start to talk about your story and your beautiful self. So thank you, Ted. We'll see everybody then.
See ya.